Hey guys, I'm Joe, and this is a Bradford built fence. All right, so we're here in Little Rock at a project. This has a few different unique things. We've got some steel fencing, some wood design that two different types of wood, privacy and semi-privacy, and then a gate I'm excited to show y'all that's an automatic gate over there on the driveway. So we'll get to that later. But right now, to start with the steel, it's a 3.5 foot tall steel. So with this steel material, the most typical heights are 4, 5, and 6. Now with this part of town, they do require a lower fence, so we had to go with the 3.5 foot tall, which is available, it's just a special order. Here, the privacy, but then also the security was a concern, so they wanted to be able to fence off and utilize this front yard space. So this steel material was a great option for that. This is a steel product that's made actually here in the US. It's made up in Tulsa, so not far from here. And they're the largest manufacturer of ornamental steel fence in North America. And so the benefits of this, if you were comparing it to like a custom made section or a traditional wrought iron, one, this is more cost effective compared to those. These are a pre-made section. So these are manufactured, like we talked, in Tulsa. So they make these sections beforehand. So the cost savings there is a benefit. Also the maintenance is a benefit. So these are, the steel starts with a galvanized steel. So it's a really high quality galvanized steel. And then they have a e-coat, powder coat on top of that galvanized. So you've got multiple layers of rust protection there with the galvanized plus the powder coat. So this actually carries a limited lifetime warranty, whereas if you're comparing that to a custom or wrought iron that either is painted or powder coated, obviously the paint is going to be more maintenance. You're going to be looking at touch-ups, probably yearly on something like that. And then you could also have a custom build with powder coat, which is going to be somewhere in the middle there. It's going to last longer, but even with that, the powder coat on a section that's custom is probably going to have to touch up somewhere in the maybe 5 to 7 year range, whereas this being produced in a controlled environment in a warehouse in a manufacturing facility with the galvanized is going to have a superior powder coat and finish. We love that about that. The only limitations with that, there's several styles of this, but you have those few handful of styles to pick from, but they have a lot of good versatile styles that you can go with this. But if you're needing something more specific and more custom, then there are those avenues of a custom steel. But we do a ton of this. We love this manufacturer and have had a lot of great success with it. The other thing to note, in our area, the steel is most popular. There are also aluminum options of an ornamental fence like this, but with us in this area, we're not on the coast where you've got salt spray and that sort of thing where you would need the aluminum, so steel is much more popular. But if you were comparing this to an aluminum fence of the same grade and style, the steel benefit is also the durability of it. So the steel is going to be more rigid and more strong than an aluminum. And there are some good aluminum products out there. If you're looking at aluminum, you need to make sure that it's a structural aluminum to get the strength that you need. But even comparing a structural aluminum to this particular steel material, the steel is going to be stronger, more sturdy, and long lasting. It's going to take an impact a lot better from either a lawnmower or kid or ball or whatever than the aluminum, where it's going to tend to bend or fold before this metal steel would. Again, I can't stress, this is probably one of our lowest maintenance options with that galvanized and the powder coat. This, like we talked, is domestically made here in the US, but there are a couple of copycat manufacturers that are import products, and they look very similar. And sometimes we found that contractors will sell those as almost presenting them as this same product, but they're very similar. The hesitancy or caution that we have with those is those particular products, one of which had some really bad powder coat problems where the almost just entire sections of the paint would peel off, and it was a big mess and would look horrible. So I haven't mentioned it up till now, and we're not sponsored by them. We just have used this product for many, many years and just believe deeply in the quality of it. But this product is an Ameristar product. So Ameristar is the manufacturer, and this line of steel fence that they have is Montage. So the Montage refers to their residential line, and then they have various styles. This style is called the Classic, which has this press blade finial on top. Then there's also Genesis and Majestic are two of their other most popular styles. And then they have, like I said, the Montage is residential. They have several different commercial and industrial lines as well. So just so you know, when you're comparing different products and name brands and things like that out there in the market, there's many options, but we would strongly suggest Ameristar. They're a great company, and they make a very, very quality product that I think you'd be happy with. So that's a lot about the fence. So let's go investigate that gate. All right, so here's the gate. This is one that's on the front sidewalk leading up to the front door, and on these, we can actually set our post and then make these gates to fit the opening. So here, right before we started, this was gonna be a little bit smaller gate, but the concrete ended up being wider here. So we're able to adjust and accommodate that, where we could go right outside the concrete and make this gate to fit. On the fence, we didn't necessarily talk about it, but in order to minimize weld spots and places that need to be touched up or painted, the fence actually has a bracketing system that is bolted together. So it's the similar system on the gate. These hinges are made to fit around the post, and they bolt on, and then they have a male side and a female side. The hinges and the latch work that way. And again, that just minimizes spots where you're having to weld or attach and touch up, which are gonna cause areas that you're gonna have to keep touching up over time. In this particular gate, it'll swing both ways, but it swings all the way open in one direction. So this one swings in toward the house like this. Whenever you're designing your gate and doing your layout, you'll need to look at that. This is fairly flat, so we had options of either swinging this in or swinging it out. In the case that there's a big elevation change over the width of the gate or to the front or back of the gate, then that's gonna play into which side your gate is gonna hinge from, and then also which way that the gate will swing. So sometimes we have more options than others depending on how that ground is and how that elevation is, because the elevation can sometimes constrain us and dictate which way it needs to swing or from which side that the gate's gonna swing. It swings all the way past 90 inside, and then here on the latch, this is a typical latch setup. It's got a spot here where you could put a carabiner or lock and lock this up, and that wouldn't be able to be lifted up. So you just lift this up to open and then put that down to close. Then with these steel gates, there's also additional latch options and upgrades that are lockable latches. There are pool safety latches. So if this was going around a pool, then we would strongly suggest putting a pool safety latch on here, which is a little higher than the fence and then only is opened by pulling up so that a kid can't gain access accidentally or when they shouldn't be in the pool area. Let's kind of run down of the steel, and then next we'll kind of take a look at the wood. We've got two different wood options on this job, and we'll come over here and talk through kind of the design elements of what we did with the wood fence. All right, so again, we're in the front of the house. So they're kind of over to our left, and then here behind us are the fences that are on the front elevation and what faces the front of the house and this front street here. So it was important to our customers to have a unique design here and have a little bit more openness, but also provide some degree of privacy. So at their old house, they had a fence that had incorporated lattice, and they liked the lattice work, so they wanted to preserve that. and that is an option we do fairly often, but they chose to also do the lattice and to do a semi-private picket. We space those pickets. There's about 1.5 inch space in those pickets, so it creates enough of a barrier to still give you some privacy, but then a little bit of openness, and then just a unique look that's not just your regular privacy or lattice fence, to give a little bit more texture and different design for this front. This particular style was one of 2 or 3 that we were looking at and they were considering, and so with the unique nature of it and designing that, they had some specific ideas that they had, so they actually provided us with some drawings and some pictures, and then we used those drawings to make some of our own drawings and be able to adapt those to give them the look that they wanted, and also for it to function and have the structure that it needed to be long lasting and work the way that it needs to. All right, so this is the semi-privacy with lattice, and let's go take a look at the side yard over here where we've got a privacy and a automated gate. All right, so over here on the side yard, we transitioned from the semi-privacy with lattice to a privacy because they've got some side windows over here and just needed some more privacy. Now, to note on the corner, we did these box posts, which are a good transition between the 2 styles, and then we spaced those evenly throughout this run right here, and that just gives a little bit more of a statement and different to break it up. And then here we also did a cap and trim along the top, so that kind of ties in that design element with the front fence and all kind of flows together. And then here we'll take a deep dive into the slide gate, the automatic gate that they went with here. This is a slide gate. We incorporated it to be within the privacy fence. So the unique design of this is we made that frame to where we could embed our 2x4s and put our pickets so that this could be private instead of being like a steel material that was open. This allows them to have privacy in their backyard, because right behind this is the bulk of their backyard area. It's also where they park. They got the carport back behind it. So anyway, with the street here, the privacy was important. So that's why we built it in to be to match this privacy fence here. With gates like this, these drive gates, you're typically either doing a slide gate or a swing gate. This needed to be a slide because of the space. We didn't have enough room to swing it out toward the road or enough room to swing it in toward the yard without taking up too much valuable space there. So here we had plenty of space to slide it up along the back of the fence. So that's why we elected to do the slide gate. It's got actual wheels that roll along. Oh, I hit the remote too, so you get to see it in action. It rolls along this track. So this track is across the driveway, and it's got this V-groove or this ridge that those wheels are designed to roll along. And then that track continues on along behind the fence to where when it's open, it's got that track to roll along and to go and support the gate. And the other option for a slide gate would be a cantilever. So a cantilever gate would actually not roll along the ground. It would have a counterbalance back here. They do require more space, so they have to have more space back behind the gate to open up and to function properly. But those are the difference with the cantilever. You wouldn't have a track here across the opening, but again, you would have to have more space to make those work. The slide gate was a great option here. So this operator is a Max. This is a Max 1500 Pro, which is one of their slide gate options. And Max makes an incredible product. They are super heavy duty, very well engineered. The electronics on them are very well designed. They're probably one of the least likely to have lightning and electrical issues. Now, with any exterior electronic component, you always have the risk of electrical or lightning interference, but Max puts a lot into it to help prevent that as much as possible. So we try to go with the Max line of operators anytime that we can. We really love their products. And so this particular slide gate, the chain goes from end to end, And as far as the gate, we have to design it to, even though the privacy stops here for the gate opening, we had to build this little tail to give us enough room to have the back end of the gate attached here. So over here too, you'll notice that we've got this photo eye. So if you think of like your garage door, you've got the sensors at the bottom of your garage door that will stop the door, open the door if they get broken as the gates go, or the door's going down. So this is essentially doing the same thing. So this is a safety beam. It's shooting a beam over to that reflector and returning. So this one is for the open direction. So as this gate is opening, if you were to break this beam, it's gonna stop the gate and close it back. On the front side, there's also one across the gate opening that's for the closing direction. So those are safety measures to make sure that something's not in way of the gate when it's closing and opening. Those are required as of 2018. Any operator that's manufactured from then on requires a certain number of monitored safety devices. With a swing gate, you're required to have at least one. On these slide gates, you're required to have two. So you have to have one in the closing position and in the open position in order to be compliant and to be safe the way that you need it to be. Also to note, with a gate and operator setup like this, it's a similar process compared to the fence, but slightly different. So like a typical fence, you're coming in, setting posts, letting the concrete set up over that second day, and then finishing the third day. Like on this, the gate and operator setup is a little bit prolonged, and also we usually typically do some of this beforehand. So like in this particular gate, before the fence was even started, we came in and we poured our concrete pad that the operator is going to sit on, and then we went ahead and set these metal gate posts so that we knew the exact width of the gate. So that allowed us to be able to confirm our measurements and build the gate to match this, and then have everything ready once we were doing the fence. So just a note, compared to a typical 3-day fence process, depending on the gate style and all that, you could be looking at, a week or two from start to finish of actually doing the rough in, concrete pad, gate post, gate fabrication, all of that. All right, so to note the box posts, we mentioned them earlier, but this is what we refer to as a box post. This is a fabricated post, so these are 1x8s that we put together to give the look of a larger post. This is here at the corner, so those box posts work great for transitions. So here, this corner, we're transitioning from the privacy up to the semi-private on the front, and actually transitioning to the steel also up front. These box posts do well in transitions, then they also do well to break up the fence and add some punctuation to ends or long runs of fence. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this fence with us today. I hope that was helpful. Make sure and like this video, that helps us out a ton, and then subscribe to the channel for more fences just like this.